Hi everyone, welcome back to East Coast Haunts.
I'm Sam.
And I'm MK, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a special episode.
It's a very special episode
part
indeed.
2 to our Pennhurst episode, and we're going to be talking about our very own paranormal investigation that we performed just a few nights ago.
Yeah, it's fresh in the minds.
Fresh in the minds, wanted to get this out before we forget any little minute detail, but
Yeah.
honestly, I kind of think that night's going to be burned in my brain for a while.
I completely agree. That is a night I will not soon forget.
Me either. But before we get into it, we just wanted to wish everyone who celebrates a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We are grateful for our listeners.
We sure are. And grateful for how much our podcast has grown.
Yeah.
I mean, we're only on, I think this is episode 17.
Yeah, and we're like 3 months in.
Yeah. We've gotten more of a following than I could have ever thought.
Yeah.
So please keep recommending us to your friends.
Thank you.
And keep listening because we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Nope. And we're having so much fun. So thank you, guys, for allowing us to do this fun thing.
Yeah, and thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Because we would have just had fun, like,
if they were
talking
like
to ourselves.
Yeah.
But, you know, knowing that you guys are enjoying it makes it all that much better.
Exactly.
And you know what's fun is that we get to spend Thanksgiving together.
Yes, since we are cousins, we spend pretty much every other Thanksgiving together.
Yeah, and then the Thanksgivings that we don't spend together, we spend Christmas. We do a little Christmas celebration.
Yes, and our Thanksgivings are the stuff of legends.
We have record books.
It's so fun. Okay, so we're spending it at our grandparents' house this year.
Yes.
So, MK, what are you making? What is your contribution?
My contribution is an appetizer because
Delicious.
I think I'm a better cook than I am a baker.
Okay.
I'm really kind of an atrocious baker.
No, you're not.
I am. Sometimes I get lucky.
Okay.
But it turns out. But I am making a dip, and it's a pumpkin whipped ricotta dip.
It's going to be so good.
And I'm going to make a loaf of homemade bread and like toast it up and make that like the dipping. Crunchy bread, and I'm gonna drizzle it with some spicy honey.
Oh, that is gonna be so good.
I think good. Spicy honey is like a little bit polarizing. I feel like some people love it.
You and I both love it.
I love spicy honey.
I don't know anyone who doesn't like it.
I have a couple of friends that don't like it.
Interesting.
I know. I don't know if I can trust.
It's really good. I know. So good. That'll be so good with the pumpkin and stuff.
What are you making?
Okay, so I'm going to make. So last year I made. You weren't there for this, but I made. It was a cornbread pudding. So it was sort of like it's almost like a casserole.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like creamy. It's corny. It's bready.
It's corn.
It's good. And it's so good. So I'm gonna make it again this year. I'm gonna try to make it gluten-free for my mom.
Nice. Love it.
And then I also found these cookie cutters at Michael's, and like you bake the cookies and like you put it together, like you construct it almost like a gingerbread house, so it looks like a turkey.
No way.
Yes, and I have it on the counter.
Is
right now.
that what was sitting out? Because I was looking at it this morning, but my brain was not awake at 7:30 this morning, so I was like, "What is?"
So I was thinking of I might honestly start baking it like tonight and then freeze everything. And then you make it into a turkey and then you ice it to make it look like a turkey.
That is
so I was thinking
cute.
that would be kind of fun, right?
I love that.
So I don't know how they're going to turn out, but that, and then I also, when my boyfriend and I went to like this wine festival a few weeks ago, I found this like, it was like this pumpkin spice cream wine, which sounds so weird.
Oh my god, you told me about this and I've been waiting to try it ever since.
It's called Autumn Goddess. It has some,
so excited.
It has some pumpkin, it has some cinnamon and some like apple. I'm so excited. So we will be having a merry old time.
We were also saying, we're gonna play that game Quiplash.
Oh yes,
with
Quiplash.
all the cousins.
It's gonna cause some drama, and also the game Psych.
Yeah. Oh, that's what. That's actually.
But
what
I'm sure we'll also play.
But Quiplash is fun too.
We also I bought a game at Target the other day called Generation Gap. So it's like boomers are on a team.
Oh, that is going to be so fun.
Gen X is on a team. Millennials are on a team, which I don't think we have any millennials, even though honestly Caroline is a millennial.
Technically, yeah, Caroline, your older sister, I think she might be a millennial. What's the cutoff? 96?
She doesn't listen to this, so it's fine. The cutoff is, I don't know, she was born in 97.
Okay, then she's...
And I'm on the cusp. I'm definitely like an elder Gen Z.
Yeah, I think I am too.
We're geriatric Gen Z.
Geriatric Gen Zs. Have you seen that meme that's like, if you're born before 96, you're a millennial. If you're born after like 2005, you're a Gen Z. But if you're born like anywhere in between there, you're an honorary member of the Black Eyed Peas. It literally makes me laugh.
I haven't seen that, but that's how I feel sometimes, because I'm like, I'm not one of these young whippersnappers, but I'm also not like doggo Harry Potter. Like,
I know.
You know.
They were actually, I was on a meeting today.
I love Harry Potter though.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to slander.
No, I do kind of sometimes think that millennial humor is very funny. Sometimes they come out with a good one.
Once in a while.
Once in a while. Gen Z is also, sometimes they get, every once in a while, a blind squirrel finds a nut. That is...
I've literally never heard that
That's
phrase.
My favorite phrase to use.
It is true. Every once in a while. A blind squirrel.
But I was on this work meeting today, and they were talking about, like, our DEI topic was, like, generation gap at Thanksgiving dinner. And it was just kind of like, be respectful of older generations, and like for the older generations, be respectful of younger generations. And I was kind of sitting there and I was like, wow, like to all these people, like I am the younger generation, but I don't like consider myself anyway, it was kind of like a moment where I was like, oh my God.
Like, am I
old or am I young? Like, where am I?
We're both.
Yeah.
We're both. So that's going to be really fun. And
I'm very excited.
I know, we're going to have a great time. I can't wait.
Let us know what your Thanksgiving plans are.
Yeah, do you have any fun little, like, traditions? Like, do you watch the parade?
Oh, I love watching the parade.
Do you go to any, like, big football games? Like high school football games? I remember that was a thing for where I'm from. Like, what do you do? I don't know. I love hearing... And also, are there any, like, weird, quote-unquote weird foods that you eat? Like, our family, I don't think this is weird, but, like, the cream spinach, like, that's, like, a classic holiday Thanksgiving food for our family, but I don't know if it is anywhere else.
Yeah, except the disgusting nickname that our family has given it.
What is it?
Lindbergh poop? You know. Lindbergh was our old pet bird that has sadly passed.
Lindbergh lived till like age 30.
Yes, he was a little lovebird, and he lived for like the longest time, and our grandparents adored that bird. But like...
No, I didn't know about this. About the nickname.
That's what my family calls it, at least.
Ew.
I'm sorry. I know. I can't eat it without thinking about that now, though.
You know what? I will.
I'm still gonna eat it because it's delicious.
I'm gonna drink enough of that cream wine that I forget, and then I will eat this cream spinach.
And then so anyway, that's kind of like a weird food. But then what was that? What else was I gonna say?
Stuffing pancakes.
Oh, those are not weird. Those are the best. Those, if you had me pick my like top 10 favorite foods,
that would be
probably
one of them. When we were younger, like we would have Thanksgiving leftovers for breakfast, and our grandma would take stuffing and like flatten it and then bake it again and like turn it into pancakes.
She'd like fry it in a pan
with butter, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's not a healthy.
Oh, but they were so good.
But
we called them stuffing pancakes.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what they were.
Yeah. But those are actually the best.
So good.
Those are, like, my
They're
favorite.
better than regular stuffing.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. So, back in, like, my hometown, with, like, some of my middle school friends, we would have a dodgeball tournament. Or not dodgeball. Kickball. A kickball tournament on Thanksgiving morning.
Oh, that's cute.
I mean,
that's
I sucked at kickball.
Yeah, that would stress me out. Do you ever see the meme that's like, my biggest fear is marrying into a turkey trot family?
My family is a turkey trot family, so unfortunately.
I will never. I'm sorry.
You're never going to. I kind of like, you know me, like, I'm not a health nut. Like, I'm not like, I do like to go to the gym, but like, I'm not up at like 5 a.m. exercising before work. Like, I'll go after work for like 45 minutes. But I do kind of like doing a turkey trot.
I don't.
I know, I'm sorry. Jinx. Well, listen.
More turkey trots for you.
Turkey trots for me. Anyway, because then I feel like less bad about myself.
I see what you're saying. You know? What you're saying, yeah.
Then I can have like an extra slice of that pecan pie.
An extra slice of that 3D constructed turkey cookie.
Is that certain slices?
Everyone's gonna be like, I was wondering, I was like, how am I gonna like serve this? I don't know.
We'll just see. Like, you know what? That's a good job to give it to like Uncle Peter.
Yeah,
like,
take a bite and pass it around.
COVID who? Anyway, alright, let's get into the main meat of this episode.
Yes, let's.
And start off by talking about what we did before the investigation.
Yes. So I don't know if you're referring to like dinner.
I was.
Okay, so we went to this Mexican place. There was a place called Besito that used to be so good.
It was so yummy.
And then it closed down. No one knows why, because I feel like it was doing such good business.
It really was.
And it was closed for like 2 years, but like nothing ever like the sign was still up and everything.
Yeah.
And the new place opened.
Tragic.
And it's almost exactly the same as Besito.
It is. That's funny, isn't it?
Like, I don't think they changed like anything besides like the decor.
Now it's like Rosa Mexicana.
And it was so good.
It was delicious. I got some birria tacos, which I'm probably gonna get flamed for that pronunciation.
Yeah,
but
I don't know how to pronounce it either.
Girl,
I got I know that you got the classic margarita, and I got the
delicious.
What was it? Chili mango?
Yes,
mango chili margarita. It was so good.
The margaritas were good, but we only had one
because we didn't want to be like
we didn't want
be silly or like forget anything during the investigation.
But, you know, a little liquid courage.
Yeah, exactly. I think it carried us through.
Yeah.
Because it was going to be a long night.
It was. So this investigation started at 7 and it went until 1 a.m.
And we stayed pretty much the entire time.
We stayed the entire time.
Yeah.
I mean, we got our money's worth.
Yeah.
I would say.
Oh, we definitely did.
For anyone who's interested, I mean, I would highly recommend it.
I would recommend it too.
We had 3 amazing guides. I believe their names were Kenzie, Kaden, and Nick. And they were so knowledgeable, so helpful. They calmed us down after very intense.
Forced them to talk to me for 20 minutes because I was freaked out.
A little bit, but they were very helpful, very knowledgeable, and very respectful of the spirits at Pennhurst, which is very important.
But before we even got to, the actual tour, we went in to look at the gift shop because, of course.
Oh, yes.
And we walk in, and there is a Saw doll, like the Saw movies.
Yeah, like Billy the Puppet, I think his name is.
Okay,
I think it's
you
Billy.
told me.
I actually have never seen Saw. That's like one horror movie that I
really
really have never watched.
It's a little bit funny. Like the first one, I remember my sister and I watched and we were like cracking up. We're like, what is this?
Probably, yeah.
So we walk in and there's like a little Billy the Puppet doll, but he's dressed in like what was it called? I said
a Top Gun flight suit.
Yeah, a Top Gun flight suit because it was Veterans Day.
Yeah, we did this on Veterans Day. It was also 11/11, which I thought was kind of weird because Sam will tell you, like, recently I've been seeing a lot of angel numbers like everywhere.
She always checks the time at 4:44.
And I'll like wake up at 4:44.
It's so
like a disproportionate amount. It's weird. Anyway,
it's because I sneak into your room at 4:44. But yeah, there is this doll, and we were like, oh, like look at its little suit, and then this lady was like,
it's haunted.
She was like, oh, you've met, what's his name?
Damien.
She was like, you've met Damien. And so we got to meet Damien, who is allegedly a haunted doll.
He was bought at a paranormal auction, which I was like, I didn't know those were a thing, and now I want to check it out.
But also, couldn't you just like make a ton of money? I mean, I wouldn't do this because like I just don't think that's good karma, but like you could sell a doll and be like, oh, it's haunted, like for $1,000, like take it.
I guess technically you could, yeah, because like how are they gonna?
How could they vet that? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it was really cool. The lady was very nice.
I dared Ray to touch it, and he did.
Yeah, he did.
So.
And we took a picture. We'll put it on the Instagram because we took a picture
with him. He's kind of cool. He's sick.
He's a ladies' man. What can I say?
Yeah, he was reeling in all the women.
So that was like a really good way to start because it was like spooky and fun. We're like, ooh.
Yeah. And then I think we mentioned last episode, they took us on a historical tour of the site and like told us all about Pennhurst. And if you haven't checked out last episode, we go over the history and the horrors.
Go listen to that first, definitely.
Pennhurst, yeah. And a little fun fact that they told us on the tour was that part of Stranger Things was filmed there.
Yes.
Which is, we're both huge Stranger Things fans.
So we were
that was neat.
I know, I want to like rewatch and see if I can recognize it.
Yeah, me too. And then after that, it was finally time to begin our paranormal investigation.
Yes.
So we explored 4 different areas of the grounds.
Yes. And it was just the guys, the male area.
Yes.
Because the female area is now a veterans hospital. Yeah.
So the first place, it's also kind of funny that it was pouring all day, like cats and dogs. And we got there and it stopped.
Yeah.
But all of the like buildings are like kind of dilapidated.
Yeah.
And there were like leaks and there were like 2 inches of water
everywhere
on the
pretty
ground.
much, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got back and we like immediately showered because it was like,
times, yeah.
But I mean, obviously they don't want to like restore any of it.
Yeah, they want to
just want to keep it like genuine, like how it was.
So like, yes, it was dilapidated, but not to the point where you were like, where am I?
And it's not to the point where I was like grossed out. You know?
No,
I was just like, it was kind of like a pain in the butt because I had wet socks. But
I do have to say, this has like nothing to do with the actual hauntings, but if you go to this, I honestly would wear a face mask because I feel like I inhaled asbestos and lead paint. Like, the next day it was like a little hard to breathe. Like, so these are old buildings, so just a pro tip. Anyway.
See, that's what you were worried about.
Yeah.
I was not worried about that, but I was worried about something following me
getting possessed.
So, anyway, in the infirmary, when you first go in there, it's like, everything is kind of like grown over.
Yeah.
With like weeds and stuff, and like all the windows are like kind of smashed.
Yeah,
there's graffiti everywhere.
There's like a person named Phantom who wrote everywhere. Someone named Sally. Yeah, Luke.
And they just would like tag the walls with their marks.
Yeah.
And that was during the time where Pennhurst was like abandoned.
Yeah.
Before they like restored it and opened it back up.
Exactly.
But the infirmary has these like huge open windows. And so Nick and Kenzie, who are our two guides, they brought us to this hallway, and the entire time that they were talking, I kept seeing something like moving down at the end of the hallway. Yeah. And so when they finally kind of like let us go off and do our own thing, we immediately headed down there, and they had some equipment, and we brought some of our own equipment. So let's go over some
BYOE.
BYOGHE.
Bring your own ghost hunting equipment.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Just making sure I got it.
So the first one that we brought was an EMF detector, and I think I've talked a little bit about that before, but the idea behind it is that if there is like a disruption in the electromagnetic field, it could signify that there's like some sort of radiation that's like causing hallucination. So if you're seeing a ghost and this EMF detector is like off the charts, it's more than likely that you're not seeing the ghost and you're actually hallucinating.
And you should get to a doctor immediately.
Probably unplug some of the stuff in your house. Also, there are these things called dowsing rods, which I also believe that we've talked about before, but they're basically two like L-shaped rods, and you can hold them and ask questions, and if it's like a yes, they'll spread apart, and if it's a no, they'll cross.
Right.
So those were pretty cool. They had these things called cat balls.
Yes.
They're basically cat toys.
Oh, I was wondering why they were called that.
But you have to like touch them and they'll light up.
Yeah.
Which was pretty neat. A more sophisticated version of that is the REM pod. And that basically sets out its own electromagnetic field. And then if that's broken, then it'll light up.
Right.
And that's like pretty much, that is like the most sophisticated probably piece of equipment. And that's pretty much like guaranteed.
Which one is the REM pod?
It was the one that like had the big green light on top of it.
I don't think I even saw that one.
No, you'll remember it when I tell the first story.
Okay. And
then, of course, there's a spirit box,
right,
which scans radio frequencies at like a fraction of a second. I think it's like 0.2 of a second. It's like crazy fast. And if you get like one or two words strung together, it's thought that like spirits will have manipulated that because
what are the odds that you're able to
like
find
a couple of syllables? One word? Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, mag lights, which are like flashlights that you can kind of balance in between like the on and off position. Mm-hmm. So, our investigation began by walking down that hallway. We kind of really didn't know what we were doing. We had the spirit box, and we didn't really get to anything too conclusive on that. It broke like right away. Yeah, it really did. It like
stopped working.
Well, I probably
hit
the wrong button.
And then we were just like, well,
but we were like, okay. So we went to find the guides, and they were doing their own investigations. So we were like, okay, we'll stick around and like see what's going on.
Yeah.
So they had set out the REM pod on the ground and a couple of cat toys, and they asked if anyone was here, and immediately the REM pod lit up, and so did the cat toys. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like one of them.
A coincidence. Yeah. All of them did. Which is so
weird. That was kind of freaky. That was like our first real like, whoa.
Like, whoa, this
like,
is a real deal here.
Might actually be here, right? And we kept asking questions, but we weren't getting any response on the spirit box. Mm-hmm. So then we decided to go into our own room and like ask questions. And this is when Ray set up the mag light.
Right.
And we were asking it questions. We weren't getting any response. And then we asked if it wanted us to leave. And immediately the flashlight went off.
Yep. Literally.
I mean,
within a second.
And I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen because I was like, I know that something's here because I just saw our tour guides like, interact with it. And probably the only reason that it's not interacting back with us is because it is tired and doesn't want to talk. And honestly, but that room, even though it was kind of freaky to be like, okay, all right, everyone out. Yeah, everyone out. We're good. I didn't feel scared.
No, we weren't scared. We were a little
just kind of like,
I was a little spooked because I was like, whoa.
Yeah, let's leave them alone. It's probably past their bedtime.
Yeah.
Valid. I get cranky too when I'm
They're
tired.
Like these dumb tourists. Like, please go away.
Yeah, please. So we vacated that room, but we still weren't, and we were like kind of getting excited at this point because we were like, wow, we could actually like make a connection with something here. So we went into the dentist's room, which we discussed
in the last episode.
Last episode, we set out a cat ball. Nothing really happened, but I did kind of feel at one point that I kind of got like a sharp pain in my tooth.
He was like, "Come here, let me take out that
tooth." Which I'm gonna chalk that up to like confirmation bias because I did know that it was a dentist.
True, yeah.
And I was looking for something to happen. I just thought it was like kind of weird.
You had to mention it.
I did have to mention it.
And it was also really cool because like there were like scrubs in there, like that the dentist would wear. Like a lot of it is like completely untouched. It's crazy.
It's literally like the land that time forgot. Yeah. So then we moved on to the tunnels that we mentioned last episode, run underneath all of the grounds of Pennhurst, and nothing really eventful.
This was like the least scary to me.
It was kind of anticlimactic because they're really creepy looking. They're absolutely pitch black. Yeah. They're freezing cold, even though it was nice and warm outside. Yeah. And so that's kind of, they were saying like that might be indicative of a haunt, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, and there was like, it was very echoey.
It was very echoey, but the scariest thing down there for me was realizing that I almost lost my Duolingo streak. And then realizing that I had no internet connection.
Yeah, that was, that would have been really, you would have been sad because you're on 100-something days.
I'm like 124 days.
Muy bien.
Gracias.
But yeah, that one was cool, but yeah, it was just kind of, it was cool, but we didn't get any hits or anything like that.
Yes. Still neat. I still had a great time down there. At one point I turned on my flashlight and Zach was grittying towards me, so I was like, oh, that was my
scariest vision of the night.
That's a little scary. Again, like a lot of graffiti down there. A lot of stuff that like alluded to things that they didn't cover in the tour and we weren't able to find in.
Yeah, it said
the tragedy of 69.
Yeah, the tragedy of 9. And it was like pointing to a door.
A lot of the doors are like boxed off with like plywood. Which kind of makes it a little bit creepy. Because
you're like, why do they do that? Even though it's probably like structural reasons.
It's definitely structural reasons.
It's still like, ooh.
But, so those were neat. Scariest thing down there was the crickets.
Oh yeah,
I don't like crickets. Then this was the worst.
This was when this was by far the scary one. This was the only one that we felt scared in.
Devon Hall. It was like
a
recreation building, and we made the mistake of starting off in the basement. Yeah. Because our guide very helpfully told us that Candyland was down there.
Yeah, and we thought they meant like a board game.
The board game. And we were like, let's go play.
Like, do they play Candyland? Yeah.
And she was like, oh, let me show you. So she brought us down into this like pitch black room.
Huge room. I would say it was the equivalent of like
a gymnasium.
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah.
And immediately upon entering this room, I felt sick to my stomach.
The energy in the room was just like very off.
It was just bad, like bad vibes.
There were murals all over the walls, so the patients at Pennhurst were able to paint on the walls.
Yes.
And they would do like murals, and they were beautiful murals. And I'm sure at the time when they were made, it was like very pretty and happy, but like they've decayed and like the paint is chipping and peeling off.
And the reason that they call it Candyland is because there's like two structural like load-bearing columns in the middle of the room, and they're painted like candy canes.
Yeah.
So it almost looks like you're inside the Candyland game. So we the guide showed us down there. She brought us back up.
There were some beds down there
Yeah.
and lots of toys.
She brought us back up to give us some equipment. So we took a cat ball and one of the spirit boxes.
Yes.
And we went back down on our own. So it was the 4 of us in this room. And like I said, huge room.
Yeah.
There was a chair in the middle of the room that we set up the cat ball on. And we were talking, and I offered like a button that I had in my pocket,
Yes.
and because there were like little coins and stuff on the chair, so I put that down. I was like,
Here, if you want.
yeah, if I have no use for this,
Yeah.
so if you want like something new to see. And we were asking anyone in the room if anyone wanted to talk. We really weren't getting a response. But again, out of the corner of my eye, I swear to you, and guys, like, we really wouldn't like, we're not here to lie to you.
Yeah,
if
I
we
didn't
had
see
gone-
anything, so I'm not gonna say it. But
if we had gone to this place and gotten absolutely no hits, we would have told you that it's creepy, but we would have given you the absolute truth.
yeah,
So that being said, I promise that this is my full, truthful
Experience.
recount.
all right.
I saw something moving in one of the darker corners of the room, and there was a bed over there. So I took the spirit box over there, and as soon as I like walked over there, the spirit box started to like kind of get some hits.
Yep.
And as clear as day, I heard a woman's voice come over the spirit box and say, "Warning." That freaked me out.
Yeah.
And at the same time as that happened, so now I'm across the room from the rest of the 3 of you. At the same time as that happened, Zach asked the cat ball if it wanted us to leave the cat ball lit up.
And that was the only time it
had lit up. I turned around to say something because I thought one of you was behind me.
It was like right behind you. You felt
because
someone.
I felt someone there, and for a split second, I saw like the shape of a man, and then he was gone.
Yeah. And there was no one behind you.
There was no one behind me.
We were all on the other side of the room.
And there was like really no one that could have been. So we booked it out of that room. I mean, really, like.
And we didn't go back.
We did not go back. We didn't go near that room. I
really disliked that room. It really scared me.
There was something bad happened in that room.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I can't find like any recounts online.
You said you were looking
for
everywhere.
One.
Okay.
And it was one girl who posted on Reddit like a few years ago that she had been in this room, and when she came out, she had a scratch on her arm.
Yeah.
And like had been in the room and like felt really nervous and like a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And she felt like something warm on her arm, and then when she went outside and rolled up her sleeves, there was a big scratch down there.
That was the only room that I like physically felt very, very, very uncomfortable in.
I can like still picture. I mean, we don't really have any pictures from that room because our encounter was
I wasn't taking pictures.
I wasn't either.
But I'm sure we'll put it on the
online.
Instagram. There's tons online.
I mean, it just like even looking at the pictures,
you can
gives
feel
me,
it.
like a pit in my stomach.
You can feel it when you look at the pictures.
And there might be an explanation for that. So there are classrooms also in the basement of Devon Hall, and when they were like not renovating but like almost like restoring these classrooms, they did find evidence of like satanic rituals and like dead animals that had been sacrificed.
Oh God. Yeah.
So I found online.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's completely true, but I will say that there were pentagrams everywhere.
Yeah, there was one room that we were excited to go into because someone had spray painted Spider-Man, like Spider-Man's face onto the wall. And we walk in and like we turn to like this wall, and there was a huge pentagram there.
There were like there was a huge one and several smaller ones, and then there was a big thing that said "help" in like red spray paint, so it looked like blood. We left that room very quickly.
So there was also this other room that was like somewhere in between the Candyland room and the Spider-Man room. And there was this couple, I think it was in this room. Okay. There was this like teenage couple, and they were like very into it. And like we like were walking past, and like we saw like a figure. And so of course like I think you saw them first, and we were just like, oh my God. And then you realize it was just a person.
I freaked out, yeah.
And then like
this happened right after Candyland.
Yeah, so we were on the edge. We were on edge. So then we was a huge room, and didn't they like tell us to come in, and like, oh,
they
like,
were
we're
like,
getting hits or something. So
they
then, like,
invited us in.
Yeah, so we came in, and then like they were like using the, I don't even know what they were using.
The REM pod and the cat balls.
Yeah, so they were like, oh, and then okay, so once we walked in, they weren't really like they weren't getting any hits anymore. So we were like, okay, like we're just gonna head out. And then as we were leaving, the girl goes to the spirits. She's like, now that it's just us in here, and then she was like, asked them something. She's
are
like,
you glad? Oh, it was. Are you glad it's just us?
Yeah, she's like, are you glad it's just us here now? I was like, little girl, respect your elders.
But tell me why the cat ball went off.
Yes, and then the cat ball went off. She's like, it went off.
Zach witnessed it because he like kind of hung back to see it.
I was like, I know. So
I was like, that's kind of rude. And we had another. Then moving on to Mayflower.
Yes.
Which was, this is the place that I told you is the most haunted,
yeah.
Right? But honestly, after being in Devon, this was
kind
of
like
a breath of fresh air.
It was. I was like, I wasn't scared.
I wasn't scared in this building. We did venture down into the basement. There was a music therapy room down there. Which was
cool, yeah.
Which was neat to see because I didn't know that they had music therapy because it doesn't seem like the kind of place that would have had music therapy. But apparently it's nice, and sometimes the guides will go down there and they'll play music.
And like the pods will, like the lights will go off and on
in like,
to, like the
beat with the music.
Yeah, which is so cute.
Really, that's like adorable. Yeah. I love that. But we were down there and we really like, it was creepy looking down there, but we didn't get a bad feeling.
No, yeah, we liked it.
I actually, I felt like comfortable in that room. We explored down there a little bit, then we went upstairs and we heard like a group kind of getting like a little bit rowdy. We were like, what is going on? This is where I told you that the shadow man likes to hang out
in the bathrooms,
in the showers. Right. And they had been in the showers with the dowsing rods, and they had been having a full-on conversation.
Although, to play devil's advocate. Yeah, the girl that was holding those, I mean, when I was watching you very closely, when you were holding them completely still.
Because I'll be honest, we did not get anything with the dowsing rods.
I have a feeling that this girl was holding hers a little bit loosey-goosey.
Probably. The dowsing rods are a little bit easier to manipulate than some of the
I think they're super easy to manipulate, personally, yeah. So I have a feeling that this girl, I don't think she was trying to manipulate them, but I think
maybe her hands were shaking a little bit.
And even like the slightest move, like the dowsing rod
swings around.
So I don't know.
I'm not sure. I also was very skeptical until I read the thing about the shadow man that likes to hang out in the showers. Because that, to me, was like, oh, maybe they did get something. There was another group that was upstairs on, like, the 3rd floor of Mayflower, and they came across, like, a piece of tape, and it was, like, waving back and forth, but there was no wind. It was, like, rattling it. And one of them was like, can you stop moving the tape? And they showed us a video of it, and it came to a complete stop as soon as they asked them that. I mean, that's kind of where we really like ended
our night.
I will say that it did not feel like, what was that, 6 hours?
It didn't feel like 6 hours. It felt like 2 hours max.
I mean, except for the parts where I was scared.
Yes.
I was like,
what will
get me out of here. But I mean, I would highly recommend it. It was $100 for 6 hours, and you get your money's worth.
And even if you're a skeptic or you just don't believe in ghosts, it's still super interesting to actually see the buildings and to hear about the history.
I mean, I want to go back for a historic tour. Yeah. I really, really do.
And when they reopen that museum,
they have a museum that they're now transferring to Devon Hall, which, like, I don't know if you could pay me to step foot in Devon Hall again. I know. Because I was just so freaked out by whatever was... There was something in Candyland, and I know it.
Yeah.
I also actually forgot to mention this, but it's not in Devon Hall. It's somewhere else. And again, I read this after we had our encounter.
Okay.
There is apparently, like, a bad spirit. I think it's in Mayflower.
Okay.
And apparently a lot of the time before he, like, appears or, like, messes with guests, a female spirit will come around and, like, kind of give give guests, like, a little bit of a heads up.
Okay.
So I was like, that's kind of weird that I heard a female voice on the spirit box saying warning, and then we had our, like, encounter.
Yeah. That is a little bit weird.
I thought that was...
She was looking out for you.
If I can, like, find that Reddit post again.
Yeah, and the fact that it was a female voice is very interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So I just thought that was a little bit of a weird coincidence.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear more about that.
I'm gonna scour the Reddit pages.
Yeah,
today.
They have a lot. I'm sure they'll have a lot.
But anyway, guys, that pretty much wraps up our paranormal investigation. I think it's a general consensus that we're gonna do another one.
Absolutely.
So,
if you guys know of any,
yes,
tell us.
We found one kind of near us. It's like a little ways away, but it's a little bit closer than Pennhurst was.
Yeah. So if there's literally anywhere on the East Coast, just like tell us and we'll see.
I really want to do one. Do you know where? It was one of our earlier episodes.
Was it? Lizzie Borden.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would love to stay
that
the
would be
night at
awesome.
Lizzie Borden. I was also looking to some Gettysburg, which was like callback to our first episode.
The first episode.
But I mean, if you want to see us do some more,
like, let us know.
Let us know. And subscribe to our Patreon so that
fund
we can,
our adventures.
So we could come back and report for you guys, because I had a blast.
It was so fun.
Even though I was scared out of my mind at that point.
We didn't get any definitive answers, are ghosts real, but
so we're going to have to try again.
Yeah. Keep trying until we get some proof.
Yep. Anyway, have a very happy Thanksgiving for those of you who celebrate. And we will see you very soon.
Yay! Thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys. Bye.